Yeah.
Uh, well, what? Hey, LA Rams, where has this been all season? What?
Well, is Puka Nakua not a top maybe five-ish wide receiver in the NFL in today's game? What an incredible performance he had. Not to mention Cooper Cup, not to mention Matthew Stafford dealing balls all over the place. But the Buffalo Bills, who were down at one point, like what, 21 points or something like that, midway through the third quarter, and they just put Josh Allen's rocket ship on his back. They didn't get a lot of run game from James Cook, and it was just the Josh Allen show. What an incredible shootout that game was in the second half. Ironically, it came down to a blocked punt by the Rams earlier on in the game. Um, and
Yeah,
so, yeah.
if you weren't taking the Rams seriously, you better take them seriously now. Um, I think the NFC West is coming down to that Week 18 game in SoFi Stadium between the Seahawks and the Rams. I really do. We're going to get to the Seahawks in a little bit here because they have a huge Sunday night game against the Packers this week. But, man, like, maybe it's because the Rams have been injured all season, but they're finally putting it together. Kyron Williams has been fantastic for them at running back. Cooper Kupp is getting back to his Super Bowl MVP form. I'll tell you what, if the Rams get into the playoffs, look out. Especially if they win the division and have home field advantage in the wild card round, they can give teams problems.
Well, here's the interesting thing. The way I'm projecting it right now, I think the NFC West winner, whoever that will be, is likely to be the three seed. In the NFC, that will likely match up with a rematch of, I believe it was week 5, Packers at Rams in LA.
Yes. Um,
And
and
by the way, a game that we will preview in about a little bit here, that could be a preview of Wild Card Weekend, the way things are going.
Yes, and I'll just give you a little sneak peek. We know the history the Packers and Seahawks have, so that would be fascinating, but we'll save that for later. But I, I'm, as much as I want to give the Rams credit, this hurts the Bills greatly because now, thanks to the doink on Sunday
Oh
night,
my God. You know what? I'm dead serious. Okay, so everybody's watching that game with 4 minutes left in the game. The game, you guys know what I'm talking about. Sunday Night Football, Chargers, Chiefs. Chargers had the lead at 17-16, and Mahomes just got the ball back. Chargers just took the lead on a Dicker the Kicker field goal to make it 17-16. You want to know at 4 minutes what I was saying? I
well,
think no. Well, what I was saying from a Charger standpoint was, guys, I think you should blitz all 11 every single play and let the Chiefs go score a touchdown,
uh,
because you want to try to get the ball back because you want the ball in Justin Herbert's hands, not in the hands of your defense. Because I knew what Kansas City was going to do. They were going to run the ball. They were going to take the clock down. They were going to kick a field goal with no time left, and they freaking doinked it.
yes, but let's get to a possible Super Bowl rematch or preview, I should say. Bills Lions.
Okay,
It,
but before we do, I want to ask you this question. I want to know your thoughts on Dan Campbell, the balls on that man to
oh
go
my
for it
God.
on 4th and 1 from what was it, the Green Bay 35 or whatever it was, and a tie game with 43 seconds left, where Jared Goff gets his foot stepped on by the right guard, and so I thought he was just going to have to pitch it out to Montgomery. He somehow hands it off to David Montgomery. Lions kick the game-winning field goal without letting Jordan Love, who was right out in the second half, back out on the field.
I'll tell you what, I made a video um like a few hours before that game or something, saying we were going to learn a lot about the Packers, the Lions, and the Seahawks over these next 2 weeks because the Packers were playing the Lions, the Seahawks were playing the Cardinals for the second time in 3 weeks. And then you turn around this week, the Lions are hosting the Bills, and the Packers are playing the Seahawks. So I felt like based on those matchups, we were going to learn a lot about those three teams. And the biggest thing I learned is if your Philadelphia Eagles want to get to the Super Bowl, they got to somehow, some way, get the NFC Championship out of Detroit. Because
I think Dan Campbell and his recklessness is going to cost the Detroit Lions a game at some point. Whether it's in the Super Bowl, whether it's in the NFC Championship, I don't know. It could be this Sunday against Buffalo. I'm sorry. I know it worked out, Dan. Good for you. I'm the most aggressive guy in the world. That was the wrong decision because, again, I go back to these analytics. If you don't get it there, I know the Packers didn't have any timeouts. I get it. But the likelihood, the way Jordan Love was carving up your practice squad essential defense in the second half was pretty likely that they were going to get in field goal range to win the game. And Detroit, if you slip up one time, that opens the door for my Philadelphia Eagles, or I'll give you a better one, Josh.
The Minnesota Vikings.
Let me tell you this. I know this for a fact because I've already looked up the NFC clinching odds. If the Detroit Lions, Philadelphia Eagles, and Minnesota Vikings all finish 15-2, the Minnesota Vikings would get the number one seed in the NFC. They would win the North because of that huge Week 18 game that's taking place in Detroit between the Vikings and Lions. So, because of that, in my opinion, again, the risk was not worth the reward. When it comes down to this game here, I do think the fact that Buffalo was just in a shootout with the Rams and lost helps them in this game because they're going to be angry. They're going to play smarter. Josh Allen's going to be in a dome again on turf. And I think Buffalo will come out with a renewed sense of focus to run the football, something they did not do at all last week. James Cook was almost non-existent. I don't think Josh Allen is going to have a 6-touchdown game again, which arguably has put him right at the top, if not at the top of the MVP conversation. I think Buffalo here controls the clock, and I think Buffalo, they're a dog by 1.5 points. I think Buffalo, if I had to guess right now, goes into Detroit and they will beat the Lions because of some coaching malpractice by Dan Campbell that will allow Buffalo to kick a game-winning field goal.
If Buffalo wants to win this game, it's not going to be because of Josh Allen. I'll tell you that. I think it has to be on the backs of the Buffalo defense. Because you want to stop the Lions, you got to stop Sonic and Knuckles.
That's the number one thing. You have to force Detroit to throw. What did we see in that Houston game? Jared Goff, for 5 interceptions. Yes, they won the game because what the hell were the Houston Texans doing in the second half? That may ultimately be the game that decides the number one seed. If you put pressure on Jared Goff, he is not the same quarterback. The interception he threw in the game against Green Bay was tight, man-to-man coverage. My good buddy Jalen Sandvik, we all know he's co-host to this show before. We all know he is a huge Detroit Lions fan. I texted Jalen about that decision Thursday night. Jalen said, and I quote, "It was the ballsiest decision I've ever seen a coach made, and I wouldn't have made it."
Fair enough. But when I say that if Buffalo wants to win this game, it's going to be because of their defense and not Josh Allen. That's not trying to diminish the importance of Josh Allen in any way. Because I get it. He's had to put on the Superman cape at times and play unbelievable. I understand that. What the play he made against San Francisco where he threw a touchdown and caught a touchdown all on the same play was just amazing. But again, we've seen how Detroit plays. You want to stop them? You got to stop that running game. You have to.
Do you think? I think it's more. I don't think it's as high scoring as the Rams game, obviously. Like, I feel like this is like 30-27, maybe even 30-28 Buffalo, I could certainly see the score be flipped, but I don't think it goes higher than that.
This is. We know these two offenses can put up points, though. That's the thing. And I don't know if I can trust the Lions' defense given the number of injuries. I just don't know. So that's why I would favor Buffalo in this game. I would probably say 35-31, so a
Okay.
little bit higher scoring than you. I understand your reasoning though. I just think Jared Goff is going to make a play late to Amon-Ra St. Brown that this somehow decides the game, whether it's like a game-sealing first down or the game-winning touchdown, something. I think it'll go to Amon-Ra St. Brown. But think about the atmosphere at Ford Field on Sunday. You got Bills Mafia, one of the best fan bases in the NFL, willing to jump through tables, and you got Detroit. Like, we saw how hard it was to go into Ford Field and win in the playoffs last season. This is going to be like a playoff. This is going to be a playoff type atmosphere on Sunday, no doubt.
Let's throw it back to the 2012 season. Week 4, the replacement referees in Seattle. A classic game between the Packers and Seahawks, and they will renew acquaintance. And all of a sudden, Seattle, who looked like they were dead midway through the season, started 4-5. A Geno Smith scamper to beat San Francisco in San Francisco looks to be the catalyst for all of a sudden a team that Josh, my cousin, is a huge Seattle Seahawks fan. I know they're your favorite NFC team. I texted my cousin immediately after the Seahawks destroyed Arizona. I don't care what the score says. That game was over by halftime. And I said, you know what? I'm done discounting the Seahawks. They are for real. I can't believe I'm saying it. Geno Smith in a division with Kyler Murray, Matthew Stafford, and Brock Purdy has the lead. And this is a big test, though, for Seattle as they're taking on a red-hot Jordan Love and Packers offense, even though they did lose at Detroit.
Well, don't forget about the 2014 NFC Championship and that whole debacle by the Packers and the botched onside kick. And you also have that playoff game in Green Bay where I think it was Matt Hasselbeck, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, was that Charles Woodson?
I don't remember who it was that got him for the interception, but like it was Hasselbeck that said, "We will win," and then he got intercepted.
Yep.
So, and they've had other classic games.
It's weird because Seattle, like, they're 8-5. They don't really feel like an 8-5 team, yet here they are.
Yeah, I know. Jackson Smith and Jigba has come on.
He's come on incredibly over the last month. He may be their difference to their offense because Ryan Grubb has struggled, offensively, I think a little bit of times getting Geno Smith in rhythm. And all of a sudden, Kenneth Walker, who's been out a ton, Zach Charbonnet comes in. He looks like Kenneth Walker 2.0 on Sunday. Arizona can tackle him.
Yeah. DK's playing well for them. Tyler Lockett's playing well. But think about how much Baltimore's defense has fallen off and how much Seattle's defense has improved. And
they've improved throughout the season. They were a mess the first half of the season. It's part of the reason why they struggled at 4-5 out of the gate. Their defense was not getting enough stops.
Well, I'm just saying in general, look at how Seattle's defense has improved.
Yeah, I think they've improved a little bit. They're not the fanciest defense in the world.
No.
You don't think of them as this all-great defense the way we thought of Baltimore last year, but I mean, they certainly improved, I would say, from a year ago. I think the biggest story for Seattle is going to be can they keep Jordan Love and that Green Bay Packer offense off the field? Because what the Packers defense does very well under Jeff Hafley, who of course came over from Boston College a year ago, they take the football away.
Yeah. But we'll see how they do stopping the run, because they just faced arguably the best running back duo in the NFL in David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. And now you got to face another very good running back duo in Zach Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker, as you mentioned.
Well, is Kenneth Walker going to play? I don't know. I have not checked the injury report.
I can double check.
Because as far as I know, he was out, obviously, Sunday with an ankle injury. And from what I heard, he's very iffy going into this week against Green Bay.
So I'll check on that right now. Green Bay, according to ESPN, is a 3-point favorite. It says Kenneth Walker is questionable as of right now.
Yeah, apparently he's got a calf injury. Mike McDonald has said that Charbonnet is an RB1 if he misses time. Apparently it's very up in the air if he's going to play. So I would guess at best, if he does play, it's a limited role for Walker, especially with a calf injury to a running back. But as I mentioned, Seattle's got to control the ball, because I don't know how many stops they're going to get, because Josh Jacobs, this is one of the biggest surprises of the year to me, because going into the year, I love Aaron Jones. He's one of my favorite backs in the whole league. I could not understand why Green Bay let him go. I thought he was a better back than Josh Jacobs. What the hell do I know? I'm only sitting here talking to you in front of my TV screen, because all of a sudden, Josh Jacobs has ran wild for Green Bay, and he's been really the catalyst of their entire offense.
That is true. It's going to be interesting, because you know how it is up in Seattle when it's prime time. That stadium is loud.
Well, they're loud regardless, but outside of that game against Arizona, they have not played well at home this year. That is their only win at home.
Yeah, but this game is prime time. It's Green Bay. Seattle fans are going to be ready for this game. I can assure you of that.
I'm back and forth on this one, because I kind of think, if you're Green Bay, that's why that loss to Detroit was so huge, because now they're kind of out of the NFC North picture. They're really trying to hang on to that 6th seed. If they take a couple more losses, maybe they fall to that 7th seed. Maybe the Commanders or somebody move up there in that 6th seed.
I did tell you that Josh Jacobs could do well with the Packers.
Yeah, you did. I just didn't think he'd do as well as Aaron Jones. I mean, I thought Aaron Jones was the catalyst of that offense. Turns out all you need is a good running back. And they're doing it, by the way, without A.J. Dillon the whole year, who obviously got hurt in preseason. I think Seattle needs the game more. Again, I have a tendency to pick games based off who I think the better quarterback will be in the game. This one is so tricky for me to call. I think it's a 3.5-point game. I could see Seattle covering with the hook and Green Bay winning by a field goal.
I think the fact that it's in Seattle makes the difference. I know the Seahawks have struggled at home, but they seem to play with a more fierce intensity. I guess that's the best way of saying it. When it's
come on, Josh, hold my feet to the fire, man. We got someone here who's loving our show. Thank you for the comment, by the way. Keep them coming.
Yes, this is Grandizer. He loves to comment on my stuff. But yes, I did tell you, how big of an impact Josh Jacobs would have with the Packers. You tried to doubt me, and he's the main reason they beat the 49ers a couple weeks back, aside from the fact that San Francisco was injured to all hell and back. But I don't think Green Bay would have been in that game last week had it not been for Josh Jacobs. I think he made a huge impact, not to diminish what Jordan Love did, but I think part of the reason Jordan Love is playing so well is because he's able to use that play-action game because of the running game of Josh Jacobs.
And as I alluded to earlier, this could very well be a NFC wild card 6 versus 3 rematch right back in the same place in Seattle.
Yeah. Even though Seattle has struggled at home recently, I think Seattle uses the fact that this is on Sunday Night Football against Green Bay, and Seattle wins.
Josh, to the Battle of Pennsylvania. And oh boy, do we have drama in Philly again? Oh my God.
Your passing game is inept. Well,
my nightmares are coming true again. AJ Brown's talking about the passing game. Brandon Graham's out here talking about AJ Brown and Jalen Hurts aren't friends anymore. We got coaches saying that players need to enjoy wins in the NFL. Here we go again. Please just destroy Pittsburgh for my sanity. Please. By the way, I have texted I forgot to text you. I meant to text you and I totally forgot. I was texting about 6 different people the same thing. Well, let me tell you a little something. The Philadelphia Eagles this year have played Jordan Love, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Matthew Stafford, and I swear to God, the best freaking quarterback we played the whole year is the guy we played last Sunday in Bryce Young. He was sensational. He was phenomenal. He throws the ball to Xavier again and hits a run of the hands. If Xavier again had any hands, we probably lose that game because Bryce Young just kept making play after play after play on third down. And I was talking all this up about Cooper DeJean, how great he was. Obviously, this season in the nickel slot corner, and if Thielen took him to the woodshed.
Yeah. I like what Grandizer said. Brandon, we keep hearing the Eagles players calling each other out. The playoffs can't begin soon enough for them.
I disagree with that comment because I think this Sunday cannot begin soon enough for Philadelphia, because if we lose this game to Pittsburgh, I'm here to tell you, things are going to get bad in Philly with that stupid-ass media that's out there in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, that try to do whatever they can to tear the city down because they think they're the New York media, though they're not. This is a must-win game for my Philadelphia Eagles. Not only to have any hope of the number 1 seed, but just to get my sanity back, because in my heart of hearts, I truly believe that A.J. Brown was talking about if we want to win a Super Bowl, we had to be better at the passing game. He was not calling out Jalen Hurts. There's conflicting reports and all that. A.J. Brown has officially changed his Twitter profile to the Joker, whatever that means. I hope that means you're going off, A.J. Brown, because Jalen Hurts was... No, I'm not going to break a window. Historically, the Steelers have struggled in Philadelphia. But let me give you another stat, Josh. We have never beaten Russell Wilson in my career. He is the pain of my existence.
Here's something that might help you. George Pickens is probably not going to play on Sunday for Pittsburgh.
Which means we need to take away Van Jefferson, whoever their number 2 option is, put Quinyon Mitchell on him, let him shadow him, let him walk him down. Let's get A.J. Brown going in the passing game. Let's get Devontae Smith going in the passing game. Let's get Saquon Barkley another 120 yards, and let's run the damn ball all over Pittsburgh's throats.
Man, I wish this was a divisional matchup so we could see these two teams play each other once in Pittsburgh and once in Philadelphia. I kind of hate that it's once every 4 years.
Well, actually, we played them 2 years ago because of the way the new 17-game schedule worked out. Don't you remember the game when A.J. Brown had 3 touchdowns in the first half? It was counting Steelers.
Yes, but in general, these teams only play each other once every 4 years. It's once every 8 years in Philadelphia.
Yeah, that's kind of strange when you think about it, isn't it? That a football team sometimes only comes to your city once every 8 years.
Yes. Like,
like Cleveland and Philly. The last time Philadelphia was in Cleveland was 2020. At the time of this schedule, they're not scheduled to come back till 2028.
Yeah, that is true. Um, so yeah, it's bizarre. I wish they were division rivals. I don't know. I would have to look at how to realign the divisions to make that work, but I think you could. But nonetheless,
this is actually a big rivalry. Like, these two teams do not like each other.
Oh, the Philadelphia and Pittsburgh in general hate each other.
That's what I mean. So for those of you out there, Josh knows this. Don't get it twisted that this is just an AFC-NFC matchup.
No, this is America's game on Fox. Like Kevin Burkhardt, Tom Brady are going to be at Lincoln Financial Field.
And by the way, how great is it? Thank God I have two TVs in my basement. I'm going to have one TV on Bills and Lions, the other, my main TV, obviously, on Pittsburgh, Philly, because those are two of the 4 o'clock games this week.
Yeah, and I'll probably be coming back from Kansas City against Cleveland. I'm going to that game on Sunday, so I might miss a little of Steelers, Eagles, and Bills, Lions.
Okay, hold on. I got to pause you right there because I got to ask you a quick question.
Go ahead.
Are you going to be disappointed if you know who is not in the crowd?
No. No, I'm not. I'm not a Swiftie.
It's all right. I had to ask you the question. Continue.
But I will say this. I am expecting half the stadium to be red on Sunday.
By the way, I know we're off topic. Browns are only 4.5-point dogs. What does that say about Kansas City?
Yeah. But
anyway, back to our regularly scheduled programming.
Yes. It's such an interesting quarterback matchup. Russell Wilson, people were writing him off like prior to this season, saying his career is done. Like he's not gonna be anything like he was in Seattle. And yet here he is. He's in position to win the AFC North. Probably wins in the wild card round. We'll see who they face in the possible divisional round. No, Jets and Giants.
No. Well, for those two team fan bases, maybe, but those two teams both stink.
Yes. This game is big. Oh, come on. Fins versus Dolphins, Bucks, Chargers, Rams, or 49ers. Maybe the Oilers.
Rams, Niners is a pretty big in-state rivalry.
Yes. Especially because they're division rivals, so they meet twice this season.
Yeah. Okay, real quick. So you were talking about the quarterback matchup. Can I give you a little tidbit on one? Go Hogs, Broncos country, whatever. Russ, go for 7, whatever you want to nickname Russell Wilson now.
It's Steelers country.
Let's go. Sure. Okay, 2 things. One was in 2012. Remember, Russell Wilson was a 3rd-round pick by Pete Carroll in Seattle out of Wisconsin.
Yes.
A couple picks before Russell Wilson was picked. One Nick Foles was picked by the Philadelphia Eagles, 3rd-round quarterback out of Arizona. Russell Wilson had texted Andy Reid and pretty much said before they took Nick Foles, draft me, I will win you a Super Bowl in Philadelphia. Obviously, that did not happen. We'll never know how history writes itself. Nick Foles ended up being that guy years later with Doug Peterson being the head coach. The other tidbit I'll give you, how about this? In 2022, right before Russell Wilson was traded to the Denver Broncos, the Philadelphia Eagles had an offer on the table that I know included Jalen Hurts to the Seattle Seahawks for Russell Wilson. And there was picks and there were other players. It was very similar to the deal that Denver gave Seattle. The only person that nixed that deal was Russell Wilson himself with his no-trade clause. Otherwise, who knows what Jalen Hurts will be doing right now in Seattle? Maybe the Geno Smith story doesn't happen. And Russell Wilson, who knows if he would still be the quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles?
Yeah. But think about just think about it on both sides. Like Jalen Hurts has been questioned all season long for various reasons, right or wrong. Because I think you could say make valid arguments for both sides here. I really do. I know your feelings about Jalen Hurts, and I'm not saying you're wrong by any
Boy,
stretch.
Jalen, he drives me nuts sometimes. I get it. I know there's people with not a lot of confidence in him. And sometimes Jalen Hurts does not play the best football. And sometimes you have to live with what seems like low expectations occasionally. But he made a couple of plays with his legs, even against Carolina. 3rd and 15, where he breaks 2 tackles in the pocket, spins around, runs for a first down. He's an incredibly strong athlete. And when the pressure is on, to me, Jalen Hurts plays his best football.
So here's my thing: if the Eagles struggled for the most part with the Panthers, and they don't have a great defense, how is your offensive line specifically going to handle TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, Casey Hayward, Minka Fitzpatrick can even
Well,
get
well,
in there?
I'll tell you, it wasn't necessarily the offensive line. It was just Jalen Hurts holding the football too long. I think we have the best offensive line in football, and I think the NFL is about matchups and who you play and when you play them. And for whatever reason, Pittsburgh, I can make an argument to you if Dustin Hopkins makes those kicks, that Browns game is a completely different game. And so I didn't think Pittsburgh played that well, even against Cleveland, even though they won 27-14. I think both of these teams were looking ahead to this game. I think my Eagles will play better this Sunday.
They're going to have to. Even without George Pickens, the Steelers are still formidable.